A very good morning to one and all. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I welcome you all to this online session of Tadvidya Sambhasha Parishad. And today I am going to speak on the topic of physiological concept of Kapha dosha. What is Kapha dosha? Okay. As I have already highlighted in my previous video sessions, the whole of the universe is made up of Panchamahabhutas. These Panchamahabhutas at its micro level, which are called as Panchatanmatras, are made up of items. Okay? When an atom has to combine with other atoms to form an element, okay? And this element further combines with many more elements to make a molecule, okay? This molecule later becomes a matter or a mass. So what is required for this? There should be some gum-like substance which holds the molecules, the items, okay, the elements to form this matter, yeah? Then only the compactness, the stability of the mass will be retained. Okay, so we are speaking today on this matter which is having the compact nature and what is responsible for the compactness. Okay, so Ayurveda has given a term as Kapha dosha. So we can define Kapha dosha as the bioregulating element which is responsible for the compactness and union of the body structures. Okay? It has been defined Kena Jalena Phalati iti Kapha. Means the one which is responsible for the nourishment and the anabolism of the body is Kapha dosha. Okay? Then what is the objective of this class? Every person attending this class will know the definition of Kapha, how you have to understand the Kapha dosha. You will know the Panchamahabhautika importance of the Kapha dosha. Then you will know the attributes. Okay? How is this Kapha dosha getting its nourishment and later functioning in the body? That is, comes under the attributes. Then coming to the normal functioning of the Kapha dosha, the classification of Kapha dosha, then the pathophysiology, what happens when there is disturbance in the Kapha dosha, then the general line of treatment which can be adopted for the Kapha dosha. Okay. So with this, we enter into the Kapha dosha. As I told you, Kapha dosha is not only a mucus material, okay, which is understood by common people, but it is also the gum-like structure present at the cellular level, holding the cells, the cell membrane, the cell organelle is intact, holding the tissues intact, holding the organs intact, and responsible for the stability, union, and nourishment of the body. It is also responsible for the Udaka Karma, that is normal electrolyte balance in your body. Okay. Then what is the attribute? Okay. When you speak about the attributes, it is said Snigdha Shita Guru Manda Slakshna Mrasna Stiraha Kafaha. Means what? The Snigdha Guna. Okay. The Snigdha Guna is present in the Kapha dosha. This is the oily nature, okay, of the Kapha. The Kapha is oily in its nature. Snigdha Shita. Shita is basically, it is cold in its texture. Okay. Snigdha Shita Guru. Guru means heaviness. Okay. Manda. Manda means it is not penetrating. It is not penetrating. It is slow. Okay. Then Slakshna. It is shiny. Mrasna, slight oily, slight lubricating. Mrasna, slight lubricating. Okay. Then there is Stiraha Kapha, stability is there in the Kapha. How this is functioning in the body? Whenever you speak about Snigdhata, okay, right from your hair up to your toe, there is requirement of Snigdhata in the body. Yes. If there is no Snigdhata in your skin level, then there will be dryness, which leads to itching, which leads to bleeding from your skin. So normal lubrication of skin is very important. That is also maintained by Kapha. Normal lubrication of your conjunctiva, normal lubrication of your cornea is required for formation of proper vision. Otherwise, it can lead to cirrhosis and other eye dryness, which can again disturb your vision. Okay. Normal lubrication is required in your nasal cavity for filtration of air. Normal lubrication is required at your oral cavity for your speech production, for digestion and swallowing of food. Okay, and still lubrication is required inside when the food is getting deglutenated from the pharynx, that is oropharynx, and then at the esophageal level. Okay, so all these can be considered when you speak about snigdhata, that is oiliness. Hence, a clinical aspect is highlighted here. Your food should always have some lipids. If you take lots of dry food, okay, here the kapha will not be nourished, leading to many other degenerative disorders. Okay, so it's very important that you process your food with ghee or some oil properly for proper digestion. Okay, then coming to Shita. Why is Shita required for your body? Now, in Pitta Dosha Prakarana, we have seen Pitta is responsible for the Ushma production. There is lot of heat produced from the Pitta and is responsible for the thermal regulation of the body. Okay, but if there is only production of heat in the body, then many of our tissues cannot sustain that much of heat and will get putrefied, and there will be lot of pus production and decay takes place in the body. Okay, so to avoid this, to have a negative pathway, okay, so what happens, the kapha maintains the shitata in the body and hence the temperature is always regulated. One more example for the shitata can be in spermiogenesis. In spermiogenesis, the body temperature doesn't support spermiogenesis. Hence, there is requirement of temperature maintenance at the level of the testis. So this temperature maintenance is also the function of kapha dosha. Okay, when we will be seeing the Charaka's reference, he explains about klebata, that is potency and impotency is the function of the kapha dosha, where he says maintenance of this temperature level is the main function of kapha dosha. Then coming to the guru. What is guru? Proper weight of organ, proper weight of a tissue, okay, is very, very important. If it is having less weight, then also it becomes a problem. Okay, if it is having too much of weight, it is organomegaly, then also it becomes a problem. So proper weight, okay, production of the organ or the bones is the function of kapha. Okay, so when this function is functioning normally, there will be no osteoporosis, or there will be no degeneration of the organs, or fibrosis of the organs is not seen. Then after guru, you can see there is manda. Why is manda required? Manda gati of kapha is required to stop the excessive dynamic nature. Okay, to stop the excessive movement which is happening in the enzymes at the electrolyte levels and all. To control their movement, there is requirement of manda. Then comes slakshna, that is slippery. Whenever there is slipperiness, the mucus takes the dust particles away from the body. For example, in the nasal cavity, whenever there is dust, the mucus comes out along with the dust and throws the foreign particles out of the body. So this is something which can be related to slakshna. Mrasna, that is a little bit shiny in its nature. Okay, and then coming to stiraha. the stability, the compactness of the body is the main quality of the Kapha dosha. Okay, so the food which are rich in all these properties, it is Snigdha, Slakshna, Guru, Manda, nourish the Kapha dosha. Okay, for example, your black gram, okay, any dishes prepared from your black gram, your milk, which is abundantly rich in Prithvi and Apa molecules, are all nourishing the Kapha dosha. Okay, and the opposite, which are having Ruksha, Ushna gunas, are contraindicating, or they lessen down the functions of the Kapha dosha. Then coming to the functions, okay, what are the functions of this Kapha dosha? As we see, Charaka says, Soma eva sharire shleshmantaragataha kupita apkupitani karoti. Okay, the Soma, that means the element which is responsible for producing cold or Shitata in the universe, which is that is moon. Okay, so such type of element is in the form of Kapha in the human body. Okay, so what are its Shubha karmas and what are its Ashubha karmas? When we speak about the Shubha karmas, we see it is Dhadya. Dhadya means the stability of the body. Upachaya, that is anabolism of the body. Then Utsaha, whenever there is strength, there is Utsaha to do a lot of work. Then there is Vrishata, your hormones are working very well, and there is no impotency, and hence the person has a lot of progeny. And Jnana, okay, Kapha is again related to Jnana because it is responsible for the patience, it is responsible for the proper grasping and assimilation of knowledge, along with that storage in the memory. Okay, so this is again the process of Jnana production, where Kapha is responsible for the memory, and later there is the mental factors come into light. What are the mental factors? That is Buddhi, okay, proper Buddhi, Moha, and other functionings of intelligence and mind are also controlled by the Kapha dosha. Okay, then when you speak about the other functions, there comes Sandhi Sansleshana, then Snehana, Ropana, Bala Stairyakat. Okay, here how do you analyze Sandhi? Sandhi here means not only the joints of bony structures, but every joint wherever there is a junction between cells, there is a junction between tissues, there is junction between the joints, the cartilages. Okay, so at every joint there is sansleshana, lubrication by proper Kapha. Okay, and then there is snehana, okay, oily structure is there, so that the movement of all the joints are flexible. Then ropana and purana. Okay, so what happens in our day-to-day lives? We are undergoing wear and tear, but all the healing is being done by the Kapha dosha. Okay, then bala, the strength, the tension, strength of the joints, and stairyakat, the stability of the joints is maintained by the Kapha dosha. So this is again a very, very important point when you speak about orthopedics, or when you speak about treatments related to the bony disorders, where you have to give lot of importance not only to Vatakshaya but also to Kapha nourishment, so that the strength of the bones is maintained. Okay, then Sleshma Stiratva Snigdatva Sandhi Bandha Kshamadibihi. So this Sleshma is again responsible for the Stiratva, Snigdatva of all the joints and body parts. Along with that, there is Sandhi Bandha and Kshama. Okay, forgiveness is the attitude of the Shleshma. So that also should be considered. Then, what is the Panchamaha Bhautika constitution of the Kapha dosha? Kapha dosha is made up of all the Panchamahabhutas, but it is dominated with the Prithvi Mahabhuta and Ap Mahabhuta. Okay, so its functions are related to all Saumya, that is cool in nature. Okay, Then when we speak about the site of kapha dosha, it is uraha and above is the site of the kapha dosha. Okay, how is it defined? Uraha kanta shira kloma parvanyama shayorasaha medo granam cha jimha cha kafasya sutara muraha. So what does this mean? The kapha is having its main site in ura, that is the chest region, and then there is the kantha region, that is the throat, that is the, you can say about larynx, then there is pharynx, okay, and then there is the head region, okay, which is dominated in the kapha dosha. Then there is dominance of kapha dosha also in rasa, that is the plasma. It is present in your nasal cavity, especially in your sinus region, okay, and medhas, that is your adipose tissue. These are dominated by the kapha dosha. Fine. But what is the site of production of this kapha dosha? We can see in the concept of Ayurvedic digestion, there is something called as Madhura Avastha Paka, where the food which just enters from your oral cavity into esophagus and then to your stomach, okay, is still in the form of ama, that is still pachana is going on and the food particles are not totally digested. In this phase, when there is action of all the mucus produced in your esophagus and stomach, okay, there is production of phenila structure called as the prakrita kapha dosha. Okay, this prakrita kapha dosha comes under the madhura avastha paka, and this nourishes all the other kapha sites in the body and all the other types of kapha in the body also. Okay, so that is why the Ura Pradesha, where actually the production of this kapha dosha takes place, is the main site of the kapha dosha. Okay, apart from this, the other regions like the kantha is highlighted because it is again dominated by the kapha, okay, and it is having too much of mucus production at the region of larynx, at the region of pharynx, okay. And then there is cloma, which can be considered as soft palate or which can be considered as the oropharynx, where whenever you're thirsty you feel dryness, okay, that is because it maintains the electrolyte and water balance in your body. And then there is the site called as rasa, that is plasma. Then there is the nose, which is also the site of kapha, because mucus production takes place in your nasal cavity. And then there is the medhas, that is the adipose tissue, which is also the site of the kapha dosha. Right. So after seeing the sites, we have to see the classification of the kapha dosha. Depending upon the subtypes and their functioning, they are being divided into 5 different types of kapha dosha. Again, an entrance question. The first one is Kledaka, because Kledaka is very important because it nourishes the other kapha doshas. Okay, so how do you define the Kledaka kapha? Amashaya sanstitaha Kledakaha so anna sanghata kledanat, means what? The kapha, okay, which has its substrate at amashaya. What is amashaya here? Amashaya is the stomach, especially the cardiac orifice and the fundus of the stomach, where there is lot of mucus production. Okay, and then what is the main function of this Kledaka kapha? Anna sanghata and kledanat. Whatever food is taken inside the body, okay, it is lubricated and it is churned and mixed with this mucus so that it is easily acted by the other enzymes in the further digestion. Okay, so this is one of the digestive process where lubrication takes place of the food molecules. And then it is responsible, this kapha is also doing udaka karmanam, that means it maintains the electrolyte balance in the body along with lubrication of food. That is again very, very important, because as you see, whenever Kledaka kapha gets affected, the main thing what is happening is whenever some spicy food is taken, okay, And there is Kledaka kapha, which is absent at the level of your amashaya. It may be at esophagus, or it may be at your cardiac orifice, at your stomach. Okay, this spicy food can directly penetrate into the tissues of the stomach, which can lead to ulcers. Okay, which we usually call as esophageal ulcers, or which we usually call as peptic ulcers. So normal functioning of this mucus layer is very, very important for the functioning of digestion, and also to protect the stomach from the acidic nature of its own HCl produced by the peptic cells. Then there is Avalambaka kapha. Avalambaka kapha, this is one more very, very important type of kapha, okay, because this is said as Avalambakam iti swakarma samarthya utpadayati. It is responsible for the swakarma, your activity, and your samarthya, your motor capacity of the body. Okay, how? Because Hrudayasya anyaviryascha Tacha evambu karmanam kafadhamnam cha sheshanam yat koroti avalambanam. This means the food which is entering into the amashaya along with its virya nourishes, okay, the kapha which is present at the site of your hridaya, that is heart region, at your mediastinal region. Okay, when we say mediastinum, okay, in our anatomy we see behind the mediastinal region we get lungs, and then there is our heart, okay, and then comes behind there is capillary region. Okay, so when our acharyas are defining Avalambaka kapha, they say that it nourishes the three main parts. It is your both lungs and heart, okay, and mediastinum. So these are the three structures: your mediastinal region, then there is heart, and there is lungs, which are being nourished by the Avalambaka kapha. Okay, and this kapha is responsible to support all the kapha at various level. It may be at your electrolyte level, it may be at your sandhi level, wherever it is, it supports the functioning of other kaphas also. Now, what is this Avalambaka kapha and how can we correlate? Till the child is of 5 years, okay, where the thymus gland is functioning for the immunity production of the body, for production of the B lymphocytes, okay, this kapha is in the form of the thymus gland nourishing the immunity of the body. Hence, our acharyas have always said kapha is directly correlated to the bala of the body, that is the immunity and the strength of the body. Okay, so it is also having a synonym balasa, okay, or bala, because they always quote kapha is the strength of the body, okay, and it is also responsible for the immunity of the body. Okay, so in Avalambaka kapha we can correlate the the pericardial fluid which is surrounding the cardiac region, which is supporting the functions of heart, okay, and we can which is supporting the lungs, okay, and it is not allowing the wear and tear or damage to the lungs. Okay, so these fluids can be considered as Avalambaka kapha, which are protecting these organs and in turn responsible for various strength of the body. And then comes the next one is the Bodhaka kapha. Bodhaka kapha is the kapha which is present in rasana. Rasana is the tongue. Okay, how do you define this? Rasa bodhanat bodhako rasanasthaicha. The one which is present in your tongue and responsible for the liquefaction of the food molecules, such that the taste bud can absorb the taste and identify the taste and stimulate your cranial nerves for the further deglutination and further production of enzymes at the digestive process level. Okay, so this is the kapha which is mainly responsible for the production of taste and digestion at the level of the oral cavity. Okay, for example, you can see the carbohydrate digestion begins at the level of your oral cavity itself. So this is again the function of the Bodhaka kapha, where trace production is very, very important. Fine. And then Next is the Shleshaka Kapha, where it is said, Sandhi Sansleshat Shleshakaha Sandhishu Sitaha. The kapha which is present at the level of sandhi, okay, it may be your bony joints, it may be at your tissue level, and is responsible for the nourishment of this sandhi, okay, is Shleshaka kapha. It can be directly correlated to your synovial fluids which are present in the knee joints and other joints, responsible for the nourishment and proper lubrication and proper function of the joint, okay, proper function of movement, it may be forward movement or backward movement of the joint is helped by the synovial fluid, that is the Shleshaka kapha of the body. And if this gets affected, then there is dryness in the joint space, which again further doesn't prevent the friction, and because of the friction there is wear and tear at the joint level, which can reduce the space and further reduce the movement of the joints. So that's what happens in case of osteoarthritis and other bony disorders, joint disorders especially, where the movement of the joints gets restricted because the synovial fluid gets reduced at the joint space. Then coming to the next one, that is Tarpakaha. When we see the Tarpaka kapha, Shiraha Sanstito Tarpakaha Tarpakshi Tarpanat. That means this is the kapha which is present at the Shira level, okay, at your head. And this is responsible for the Tarpana, that is nourishment of your head and as well as your eye region. Now what can we correlate? This is correlated to the cerebrospinal fluid which is circulating in your cranium and is nourishing different cells in your gray matter, white matter in your cranium. And also along with that there is aqueous humor which is present in your eye, okay, and this is responsible for the proper image formation and nourishment of your eyeball. So this can be correlated to the Tarpaka kapha, which is further nourishing the proper functioning of brain as well as your akshi, okay. So this is about the classification of the kapha dosha, where if Kledaka kapha gets affected, there is formation of peptic ulcers and other ulcers in your digestive tract. Then if Avalamba kapha gets affected, it usually affects the functioning of your vital organs like your hridaya. There will be lack of immunity. Your lung tissues are getting damaged because of damage. It may be because of accidents or something like that, where your Avalambaka kapha gets affected, and it is responsible for your swakarmana. It is all responsible for all your motor functions. So those functions gets affected if Avalambaka kapha gets affected. And then there is Bodhaka kapha. If this kapha gets affected, what happens is, at the level of your tongue, your taste bud lose functioning, because of which digestion gets hampered. And then there is a Shleshaka kapha. If there is damage to the Shleshaka kapha, the joint functioning gets affected. Then is last the Tarpaka kapha. If Tarpaka kapha is reduced in its functioning, then mean your main process, your capacity of vision, your capacity of hearing, your capacity of thinking, and many other functions get vitiated. Such conditions can be seen even in meningitis, where there is infection to the cerebrospinal fluid, which causes many other disorders, and the patient is almost bedridden in such cases. And then coming to the pathophysiology of the kapha dosha, whenever there is vriddhi of kapha dosha, it may be because of your ahara, okay, when a person consumes too much of cold food, or when the person consumes too much of oily food, okay, or too much of guru, that is heavy food for digestion, then there is too much of production of kapha dosha. So when there is too much of kapha dosha produced, Sleshmo Agni Sadanam Praseka Alasya Gauravam Shwaitya Shaitya Shlatangatvam Shwasa Kasa Ati Nidrata. Okay, so you must have seen, whenever you take a lot of food, Okay, you have visited some function and you like the dinner or your lunch is very tasty, and you have lot of lunch or lot of dinner, you feel so heavy. Okay, the same type of heaviness, if continues, it leads to kapha vriddhi type of disorders. So what are these disorders? First of all, you can see Shleshmo Agni Sadanam. Agni Sadana means it first destructs the digestive capacity of your body. Okay, your digestion is hampered. Okay, and then there is praseka. Praseka means excessive salivation. Okay, excessive salivation. Along with this alasya and gavrava, you are not having any enthusiasm to do any work. There is lot of laziness. Okay, you feel, why I have to do this today, I will just procrastinate to the next day or something like that. So there is gaurava, or there is too much of alasya when there is kapha vriddhi. Along with that, there is, if this vriddhi continues, there is already indigestion, there is already kapha vriddhi taking place, and in that you are eating again more of guru ahara, again shita ahara is taken. Then what happens is shvaitya shaitya shlatangatvam. Shvaitya shaitya means what? The body seems to be too much of pale in nature. The person looks too pale. Okay, he is not of normal coloration. He looks too much of pale. And shaitya, the person has coldness. He feels cold. Though everybody is comfortable with the temperature, he says no, it's too cold. Okay, that is because kapha dominance is taking place at the amashya level, because of which he feels the chills like or too much of cold. Okay, and then shvaitya shaitya shlatangata. Shlatangata is looseness of the body. There is no strength in the body, no compactness in the body. So that is shlatangata, loss of energy. Such type of attitude is seen in such people. Shlatangatvam. Shwasa kasa atinidrita. Shwasa is breathlessness. There is difficulty in breathing. Why? Because too much of shleshma gets accumulated in the amashya level, and then at the level of the lungs, that is your ura, kantha, okay, and then blocks the normal passage of air. So that is shwasa kasa, that is cough production is seen. Ati nidrata, the person sleeps throughout the day and night, saying that he is totally tired or totally lazy, or he is not interested to do any work. So such type of behavior is seen in Shleshma Vriddhi patients. What happens if lot of Shleshma Haradravyas are taken? If a person consumes only chilies, or consumes only pepper, or consumes only dry food or something like that continuously for many days, then there is Shleshma Shaya Lakshana seen. What happens? Now there is a concept of too much of dieting, okay, where no lipid is allowed, no proper food is allowed. So in such people where there is only rough food taken inside, okay, without any lipids, there is Shleshma Ashayanam Shunyatvam. Okay, Shleshma Ashayanam Shunyatvam Rudravam Shlata Sandita. First of all, whenever there is Kafakshaya, you have Brahmaha. Brahmaha means what? Giddiness. The person feels a bit giddy whenever the kapha nourishment is not there. Then Shleshma Shayanam Shunyatvam. Shleshma Shayanam Shunyatvam means what? You feel emptiness of organs. Okay, just imagine you are too much of hungry and you are not getting any food. Then you feel some emptiness in the stomach. Such emptiness is appreciated when there is kapha shaya. Okay, all over the body. And then there is rudrava, there is palpitation. See, okay, palpitations, you can feel your own heart rate, you can hear your own heart rate. That is what the patients complain whenever we see the kapha kshaya lakshanas. And then there is slata sandhita, there is loosening of the joints. Even if I want to hold something, I don't have that much of strength to hold my own things. That is Shlata Sandhita, looseness of joints. So such complaints are seen whenever there is Kapha Kshaya. Okay. Then when we see all these things, we also focus on the general line of treatment. Okay, how is this kapha treated? To know the treatment of kapha, okay, the concept is either there is kapha vriddhi, there is kapha kshaya, and one more concept is sama kapha. Sama kapha is a condition where the ama, the indigested food, gets combined with the kapha. Okay, the food which is ingested, I mean you have taken the food, it is digested and thrown out, okay, and then you go for the next food, doesn't cause any problem. But you have taken some food and there is no proper digestion and there is no proper defecation or removal of toxins from your body, and over that you are loading the system with too much of food again, it leads to indigestive molecules in the body, which is called as ama. When this ama, indigested food molecules, get combined with the kapha dosha, they form sama kapha. And how do you understand sama kapha? They are tantugat. It is said in the Kanta region you get tantugata kapha, the tantugata kapha, and with foul smell. There is smell in this kapha. Okay, when such lakshanas are there, only treatment to the kapha dosha will never be successful. You have to treat the ama first, the indigested products should be treated first, and then treatment to the kapha given will be giving you good results. So how will you treat this ama? Since kapha dosha is shita, snigdha, you have to treat kapha dosha with ruksha ushna type of drugs. Okay, it may be your shunti, it may be your maricha, it may be bhallataka, it may be guggulu. All these are the drugs which are first of all trikotu. All these drugs do the pachana of sama kapha first. Okay, after the pachana of the sama kapha, now comes your kapha, which is either in the vriddhi state. If it is in the vriddhi state, then you can continue with the kapha hara chikitsa along with this katu, tikta, kashaya type of drugs. Okay, and then you can adopt some preventive measures also, like doing lots of exercise. In your food you have to use kapha hara dravyas, so such type of preventive things also can be done. You can follow normal dinacharya, rutucharya to prevent the excessive production of kapha dosha. And if you feel that the kapha dosha is too much stagnant in the stomach or too much stagnant in your body, where you feel too much of heaviness, you have lot of thyroid problems where hypothyroid is your main complaint, then the first line of treatment will be Shodhana Chikitsa in deep rooted disorders, where Vamana becomes the first line of treatment in kapha dosha. Okay, so with this general line of treatment, okay, I just summarize with the kapha dosha, where what is the nirukti of kapha dosha? Kapha dosha can be defined as the bioregulating element of the body and mind, which is responsible for the compactness and union of the body. Okay, and kena jalena phalatiti kapha means the one which is responsible for the anabolism of the body. Then when we see the Pancha Mahabhutika components of this kapha dosha, we see that kapha dosha is made up of all the type of Pancha Mahabhutas, but it is dominated with the Apa Mahabhuta and Prithvi Mahabhuta in its nature. These are responsible for its gunas, that is the attributes. When we see attributes of kapha dosha, it is snigdha, slakshna, guru, manda, mrasna, stiraha, kapha. That means kapha dosha is snigdha, oily, and it's responsible for the lubrication of the body. It is shita, responsible for the temperature maintenance and giving negative feedback mechanism. Then it is guru, maintenance of the weight. Manda, it is responsible for maintaining the dynamic this movement of the molecules are also controlled by its gunas. And then there is slakshna, it is slippery in its nature, so that it can throw out the molecules whichever is not required. And there is mrasna, stiraha, Kafaha, which is the main attribute of the Kapha dosha. Then coming to the normal functions, in the normal functions we have seen, it is responsible for Sandhi, Sansleshana, Snehana, Purana, Ropana, okay, and Balastairya, Krat. It is responsible for formation of Sandhis, then for the nourishment, for the stability of the Sandhis and maintenance of all these Sandhis. In short, the anabolism of all the Sandhis at the cellular and the tissue level, at the joint level, is maintained by the Kapha dosha. Then further, Charaka says, the Soma eva sharire shleshmantaragataha, the Soma element of the universe is present in the body in the form of shleshma, and it is responsible for both Shubha, Ashubha, Karmani, Karuti. When it is functioning normally, it is responsible for the Dhadya, that is the compactness of the body, and if it is not functioning normally it leads to the Shitilita of the body. If it is functioning normally, again Upachaya, proper nourishment of each and every dhatu, okay, is again the function of the Kapha dosha. And if it is not nourishing properly, then there is Karshya, the person becomes emaciated. Then Utsaha, if there is proper nourishment, strength, the person is always healthy and enthusiastic. So that is the function of Kapha dosha. And on the contrary, it is Alasya, that is laziness. Then there is Vrashata. If Kapha dosha is functioning normally, then the person has normal endocrinal functions with the gonadogenesis. I mean, there is a production of ovum, the production of especially the spermiogenesis is under the control of the Kapha dosha, because ovum is Agni, under the control of Pitta, and nourishment may be Kapha dosha, but spermatogenesis especially depends upon the Kapha dosha. And so Vrashata is said to be the function of Kapha, and on the contrary, if it is not working properly, there will be Klipata. Then Jnana Ajnana. Jnana is again memory, grasping properly, understanding properly. So this is again the function of Kapha dosha. Ajnana is the contrary verse of the whenever the Kapha dosha is not functioning properly. And then the other factors like Buddhi, Moha are also coming under the functioning of the Kapha dosha. Right? When we see the classification, again we have 5 different types of Kapha dosha. First one is the Kledaka Kapha, then there is Avalambaka Kapha, Bodhaka Kapha, then there is Shleshaka Kapha, and last is Tarpaka Kapha. Kledaka Kapha, as I told you, is present in the Amashya, responsible for the Anna Sanghata Kledanat. And the function also is Udaka Karmana. Udaka Karma is one more function. So it can be a confusing question in CT level, because Udaka Karma is also highlighted as one of the function of Kledaka Kapha. Here Udaka Karma means proper maintenance of the electrolyte level in your plasma. And then there is, if this Kledaka Kapha is not functioning properly, then there is always disturbance in the lubrication at your mucosal layer, which can cause ulcers. Then there is Avalambaka Kapha, which is very important Kapha. It is present at the Hridaya region, and it is believed to nourish the Trik, that is your lungs, mediastinal region, and the heart. Here lungs is the fluid or the pleural fluid which is protecting the lungs. It can be also correlated to the surfactant which is protecting the lungs. At your heart level, it is the pericardial fluid which is protecting the heart from the frictions. And at your mediastinal level, it is the thymus gland which is responsible for production of lymphocyte and maintaining the immunity, and hence it is said that Kapha is directly related to the immunity of the body. And then coming to the Bodhaka Kapha is present at the level of your tongue, that is Rasana, and is responsible for the normal taste production with your taste buds, and further helps in the process of digestion. And then there is Shleshaka Kapha, which is present at the level of your sandhis, that is the joints, like your synovial fluid. And what the main function is to lubricate the joint space so that there is easy movement of the joints. Okay. Then coming to the Tarpaka Kapha, The Tarpaka Kapha is the kapha which is present at the level of your shiras, that is your cranial region. You can correlate this to cerebrospinal fluid functions, where it is nourishing your brain, both grey matter, white matter, your cerebellum, cerebrum. Okay, so all the sensory functions are under the control of your cerebrum. Okay, and occipital region also. So all the nourishment of this region is maintained by the Tarpaka Kapha. So in short, all the indriyas are also nourished by the Tarpaka Kapha along with your eyes. In eyes, along with the aqueous humor production, okay, the proper lubrication of the optic nerve is also the function of the Tarpaka Kapha. Hence, Tarpaka Kapha is very, very important. Any abnormality, any infection to the Tarpaka Kapha can be correlated to the symptoms of meningitis, where there is infection to the cerebrospinal fluid. Then coming to the pathophysiology, okay, the factors which affect the kapha especially are in the ahara. When you see the food, whenever you take lots of heavy food, okay, whenever you eat lots of cold food, or you eat lots of stored food, that is in refrigerated food, so this can lead to kapha vriddhi. And in activities, you are not performing exercises, you are not going for walking, you are not active throughout the day, that also continuous sitting, continuous sleeping can lead to kapha vriddhi in the body. And then at the manasika level, when your mind functioning is there, you are very much lazy, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to think anything about, then at that level also you are causing kapha vriddhi. Okay, and other factors like indigestion, improper treatments can also lead to kapha vriddhi. So there are various reasons where kapha vriddhi takes place, along with the what I can say is the place, desha. Okay, if you go to Anupadesha, where there is river flowing and you are staying there, even that Anupadesha influences your kapha and it can lead to kapha vriddhi in your body. So there are various factors which can cause kapha vriddhi. But what are the lakshanas you see? And you can understand there is kapha vriddhi in the body. That is Shleshmo Agni Sadanam Praseka Alasya Gauravam. Your digestive power is reduced. Okay, and there is too much of salivation in your mouth, and there is alasya and gaurava. You don't want to work, you feel so tired and lazy. Without doing anything, you feel so tired and lazy. That is actually the kapha vriddhi lakshana. And then if this continues for further, then the person gets emaciated, he becomes pale because there is no proper nourishment to the tissues. So there is shvaitya shaitya, where the person feels very shivering cold, and shlatangata means there is a looseness of the joints. Okay, and shwasa kasa ati nidrata, there is lot of sleeping tendency with breathing problems are seen in case of kapha vriddhi. And kapha kshaya shleshmashayanam shunyatvam rudrava shlata sandhita. Okay, as I told you, there is giddiness, brahmaha, and there is shlata sandhita, and there is what I can say is rudrava, palpitations. And wherever there is shleshma ashaya, whatever shleshma ashayas I have highlighted, shunyata is seen in this region. And then in treatment, I have told you, wherever there is kapha vriddhi, you have to see whether there is sama kapha there. Treat the sama kapha, the ama tattva is treated first, and later the kapha is treated with your katu tikta kashaya drugs, and later you have to give rasayana chikitsa to this kapha for the maintenance. Okay, and then if it is deep-rooted disorders, deep-rooted kapha kasa shwasa is seen, then you have to plan for the treatment like vamana, and then rasayanas should be introduced. Okay, with this concept, I finish with the concept of doshas, and in the next class I will be coming with a new topic. So thank you for attending. Thank you.